What would be most useful for you today?
Well, I just maybe just give you a little background of kind of where I'm at with the whole LSAT and law school thing, and then I'd like some advice, and then I also have a question about your I've looked on your blog and I've looked through your like the logic games and logical reasoning explanations, because I'm thinking in like your schedules, and I'm thinking I'd like to buy some of those. But so first of all, I feel inspired by your story, because the highest I've scored on the LSAT is a 155, and I swear, like, I go from like 155 to 152, and I'm just like nowhere where I want to be. And usually each logical reasoning section I get about 15 to 17 right, and then with logic games I get like usually about 13 right per section, and then with reading comp I'm about around like 15 or 16 right each section. And I've read books and I've done all that stuff, but like everything else, I feel like I'm stuck. And then just another kind of interesting thing about me is I went to a semester of law school already. And so I've actually been through this game and everything. But the semester of law school, I went to Creighton Law School. And I was there for a semester, and some personal issues came up, and I had to drop out. So I dropped out, but my heart and soul, I want to go to law school. I'd like to practice law someday. And my goal score would be a 165. I think if I could get a 165, I think I could get into the places where I'd like to get into. And so, yeah, so that's the background. And I feel like I'm kind of burned out, kind of stuck. And I plan on taking the LSAT in June, just because that will work just with the job I have, and then just with family things, whatnot. I think I could be ready by June. And so yeah, that's a little bit about me. Hopefully you're not thinking like, man, you are a lost cause, bro.
No, not at all. Actually, when you said that you were going to go for June, I was pleasantly surprised, because I thought you might be going for January. And
Yeah.
A 10-point increase over 6 months or more is perfectly reasonable, especially from a 155 to a 165. And so kudos to you on your dedication for getting back into this and reapplying and going through the process yet again. But the score increase that you want is perfectly reasonable.
Oh, well, thank you. That's good to hear. And I've been listening to your podcast, and super helpful. And I also, how I heard about you was through the BYU Law, like Q&A you did like a few weeks ago, maybe like two something. But and that was extremely helpful. And so I was like, hey, I'm gonna check out your site. And so I did, and I read your story, and I was just like, now if I could score a 175, boy, oh boy, wow. but I don't know if I can score a 175, but I figure I could at least get maybe to a 165. I think that seems realistic, and and if I did get that, I think I'd be pretty safe with most of the schools that I'm going for. So yeah, I guess. And then another like just thing is like, how do you get over just kind of the burnout? Because I feel like when I almost feel guilty when I'm not like doing a logic game or looking at a logical reasoning question. And I read your cheat sheet, and I thought it was great, because I always thought like, man, I need to get up in the morning and just start cranking out LSAT. But like, honestly, I get through like 2 questions, I'm just dead tired, and I'm like, what am I doing? And then I guess just back to just kind of just general LSAT questions. I mean, how did you get over your hump? Like, how did you get to 175? I mean, what was it that where all of a sudden it just clicked? Because I keep hearing about this, because I have a few friends that took the LSAT last year. They're all in law school now. And it's the same thing that I hear, like that I've heard from you and I've heard from them. Like all of a sudden it just started to like work. And I just feel like, man, am I capped out at 155? Is that kind of what I gotta hang my hat on and just go from there? Or, because like it's really kind of demoralizing in a sense, because a lot of the guys that I've studied with, and girls as well, they'll be in the low 150s, then like all of a sudden they're like in the 160s. I'm just like, what the heck? What is wrong with me?
So, yeah, it certainly can be demoralizing, and so I'm not at all surprised to hear you say that. We wrap so much up in our scores with our self-worth, intelligence, and all that. But the truth is, this test is simply a test of pattern recognition, nothing more. So when your scores improve, it's often because after you've built a foundation, you're starting to spot the patterns. When you see a new question, you're relating it back to something you saw previously. And so if you can increase the number of patterns that you're able to spot in all three sections, then your scores will go up accordingly.
Okay. So Pat, like, and you're talking like, oh, like I've seen this flaw before, or I've seen this type of game before, and this is what the test writers are going after here on this. And that's kind of, because I obviously haven't gotten like completely there, but like there are some questions where I'm like, oh, this is similar to that, but I guess I'm not seeing it a lot. And I guess with practice and stuff, I guess that would hopefully that will increase in maybe your class and because I was thinking like, well, maybe I could buy like maybe the 7th month study schedule, and then buy all your games and logical reasoning explanations, and I could go from there. Or maybe I could just sign up for your course for like a month or so, and then just be like, okay, I'm gonna just do his 7-month schedule and just boom, go from there. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you could do the course, and the course comes with a study plan for your specific timeline. And so that'll be the best option, I think, to jumpstart your prep. And I want to circle back to one thing you said earlier, Jake, about the idea of feeling guilty for not studying, taking a break here and there. You've got 6 months, 7 months. You've got enough time to make anything happen, even if you were starting totally from scratch. So keep in mind, really, this is plenty of time, especially since you have studied already quite a bit. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You a little bit each day, each week will be enough to get you there.
So I just like with your schedule, especially let's say like I'm pushing it out till June. Like how many hours should I be doing each day, and then when do I really increase the hours? Like would I do that more like April, May, like right before the exam, like I'm going like an extra 20-30 hours a week on it, and like maybe now I'm only going maybe 5 hours a week? I like what would you say? What would be your advice on that?
Well, it's really about what you have time to do while maintaining balance. I'll typically recommend 10 to 15 hours per week when you're studying over a longer timeline, as you are. But I don't think that you need to dramatically increase it in the final month or two, because that is where you risk burnout.
Yeah.
No need to cram for this. It's slow and steady. And so if you can put in 15 hours a week between now and June, that's totally fine. And you may not even need to increase it at all. This is not something you cram for. So the goal is that when you do your test in June, that it's like just another run through. So maybe you're doing 1 exam a week in those final months. Maybe you're doing 2 exams a week in the final month or two. But you don't need to suddenly ratchet it up significantly in the final month. There's no reason for that.
Okay. Wow, man. This is music to my ears. So, okay. And then I have just a general law school, like application question. I've actually attended law school, and I've actually talked to 2 schools about that I'm applying to, and they've told me, they're like, oh, that's fine. Just explain, why you dropped out, and that should be okay. But one of them was actually pretty candid and said like, well, hey, look, if you don't hit our median LSAT score, then you probably aren't going to get in. Would you say that is probably likely the case on any law school? Like, do do you need to, especially like if your GPA is maybe like below their 25th percent, do you have to hit that median essentially for them to even really look at you?
Typically, law school admissions is mainly numbers driven. And so
Yeah.
if your GPA is a little bit on the lower end, you're going to want your LSAT to be on the higher end. So if you're below the 25th for GPA, you'd want your LSAT to ideally be above the 75th just to balance things out a bit.
Because like the two, well, like the three main schools I'm targeting, and I don't know, maybe this is too, I mean, like obviously you know a lot about law school and the admissions, and I don't know if you know about specific schools, but like it's pretty much BYU, Utah, and Notre Dame is really the three that I'm going after, and my GPA is a 3.3. I was LSAC'd. I was a 3.6, and then you turn in your transcripts and you get them back. You're like, oh crap, wow, shouldn't have retook that class or whatever. but anyways, so ideally, do you think it's possible? Like I'm just shooting for 165 because that's kind of what I was told. Like, oh yeah, 165 is good. Do you think it's possible for me to get like a 167?
It is. You could even aim for 170 plus if you want. You have the time.
Are you serious?
You've got more time than most students devote to this process in general.
So I just feel like I suck at this exam, though.
It's an incredibly difficult exam, but if you commit yourself to it fully, there's no limit to what you could achieve on this.
So let's say I signed up for your $299 course a month. Do you think I can get in the 170s?
Absolutely.
Well, okay, man. When do we start?
Anytime you're ready. You can join anytime. Now, I don't want to sell it like it's easy, though. It's going to take a tremendous amount of work. The course will just give you the tools. It's up to you to do the work on your end to make it happen.
So when would you say, like, because I've tried to study in the morning, and I am not a morning person. Like, when was your, like, should I be doing this? Because I work full time, and I don't know about, like, I know I have one friend, he scored a 171, and I get everyone's different, and but he said he pretty much studied like 2 times a week, but like on the 2 days that he studied, there was like Friday and Saturday, he did like 10 hours a day. And I mean that seems, I guess that works. It ends up with being like 20 hours a week, I guess. But I don't know. What do you think about that? Especially if you work full time.
Yeah, I wouldn't go about it that way because I wouldn't want you to run the risk of burnout.
Yeah.
So you could do 20 hours a week, but spread it out a little bit more. You could do 5 days, 4 hours a day, or 4 days, 5 hours a day. And you said you work full time. A lot of folks do, but you squeeze it in where you can. So get to work early, do a little bit before work, do a little bit after work before you leave, squeeze it in on the weekends, make the time wherever you can.
And where are you based out of?
I'm in New York.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm in Utah, and you're out in the big city, man.
Yeah, big city life.
We're just mountains and snow out here. So, have you been to Utah?
I have actually. I went to Salt Lake City a couple of years back, and it was beautiful. Mountains, incredible.
Yeah. Do you like to ski?
I don't really ski, but I do like to hike, and the hiking was incredible.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a good place for that. Well, okay. Well, I really appreciate you doing this. I'm sure you talked to tons of people, and we probably asked the same questions over and over again. So I appreciate you doing this, and I think I'll go ahead and sign up.
My pleasure, Jake. It's a pleasure to connect with you. And a lot of the questions are the same, but every situation is different, and I'm glad to give insights.
If you're telling me 170s, man, obviously, it's me. Like I'll put in the work. I really want to do this. And man, 170s would absolutely change my outlook. Or even the schools that I'm targeting, I'd probably get scholarships and stuff. Wow, that would be amazing. And then you just use real LSAT, like, cause I have all the LSAT books, like like the real test, like from LSAC, and that's what you're doing.
Exactly. The real
Okay.
official LSAT questions. That's what you want to work on.
So it's not Princeton Review Kaplan crap.
No.
Okay. Well, awesome. And I just obviously I just do it through your blog.
Yeah, just do it through the site. There's a courses tab at the top. If you have any
Okay.
trouble finding it, let me know. But before we sign off, Jake, what would you
Sure.
say is the biggest insight you got from our call today?
Well, the biggest insight I would say is that given the timeline that I have, 6 to 7 months, what you said concerning like, hey, you could actually get into the 170s if you put in the work. I think is really what it has me motivated, and it's making it. I'm not doubting myself, I guess, because I've just done. I feel like I've gone through workbook after workbook, and I've looked over questions before, and I see that it's B, and I put C, but C still sounds better to me, and so I would say that, and then also another one I would say is that your information about burnout, that you don't necessarily need to ramp up like a month or two before the actual exam, because I've had a lot of friends who that's what they've done is like, a month out from the exam. I mean, they just go LSAT crazy. And the fact that you're just like, yeah, you don't necessarily have to do that. That was really insightful. I've never heard that before. You're very kind to do this to strangers. So thank you so much. And I look forward to future collaboration.
Same, man. Looking forward to having you in the course. Any questions, please reach out.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Steve.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take